Hello, Stiry family, and welcome to the StiryCast. My name is Brianna Johnson, Creative Director here at Stiry, and I am today's host of the podcast. We are live here in the Stiry headquarters and are going to be recording our first episode of our Founders series at the Founders Only Invite event. So say hi, everybody that's here in the studio. Great. Today I am here with Trevor, Farnes, CEO and co-founder of Mountain Ops, and a storyteller here of a Stiry original, Operation Conquer Hunger. And if you haven't seen the film, I'm going to be able to put that link in the show notes for you to be able to take a listen. And we just finished watching it here in the Stiry studios. And now I have a chance to talk to Trevor about the impact of sharing his story on his life as well as upon his business. So thank you so much, Trevor, for being here with us today.
It's an honor to be here. Appreciate the invite.
I'm so glad. I am just so moved by your film. And I'm so excited to hear more about why you felt so unapologetic of showing those raw moments. That is definitely unique from a founder's point of view. But before we get into that and talk about, the impact that it's had, I'd love for those of our listeners that are listening today that don't know you, just to share a little bit about you as well as about Mountain Ops.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my name's Trevor Farnes. I'm like Brianna said, I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Mountain Ops, which has been in existence for about 8 years. We actually just celebrated the 8-year mark. But prior to that, had started another supplement business called Phoenix Nutrition in 2010, and that's kind of how I got into creating products for people for their health and well-being. Actually started with my father, created a product for his neuropathy and blood pressure issues with a history of heart disease in our family. I wanted to do something that I could benefit my family with, and got him on the product we had created, and he saw incredible results. So we knew we were onto something, but we had just kind of come through a lot of struggles, starting different businesses. As you'll see in the film, I've got a beautiful wife who's been my biggest supporter, and 4 kids now, ranging from 18 to 9. Daughter just turned 18 2 days ago. I can't believe we're to that point in life. But so they're my greatest joy and my greatest supporters. And so we've been through some struggles in business, but then found our way through and have used those struggling times as perspective moments to give us, added visibility into opportunities that we could go and take advantage of, really helping others that were in the shoes that we were in past years. So, but we sell nutritional energy and nutritional products right now through Mountain Ops in the outdoor industry, mainly in hunting. And so you'll find us in stores like Cabela's and Scheels and Bass Pro Shops and such, but more so online than anywhere, where we've built a community to really transform and improve people's lives.
And you really have built a community of loyal customers and of followers. And the term that came to mind as you were introducing yourself in conjunction with the film that we saw is this idea of emotional integrity. And as influencers and founders and leaders in the community, I think that is something that is undervalued and underutilized. Not only does it create a beautiful foundation for you in your personal life, but it is a foundation for a successful business and a successful following. I'd love for you to share, going back to the film, there was that moment where you said that you don't know that you would have noticed the weight that you saw in other people if you hadn't had that experience. I'd love for you to talk about that and how and why you wanted to be able to share those really raw moments.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you're most powerfully positioned in life to serve the person you once were, right? And so in those moments, it was really hard to see, to the next day, or to see how we were going to accomplish the things we needed to that day. But we were always looking out, like, where are others seeing success, and how are they seeing it? How are they finding it? It just seemed such a daunting task because we had business failure after business failure after business failure. And so I myself felt like a failure. And my family could see that, but I tried to hide it. I tried to keep it under wraps because I didn't want the community, I didn't want my even family and friends to know. There's ego that got in the way. I had a conversation with Steve here today where it's, he opened up almost immediately with me about where he's at. And I wish I would have done that before, been a little more vulnerable. But because I had been there and I felt that weight and that pressure that I was experiencing in life, I know how to look back now and see that in others' eyes, or just even ask the questions in a conversation that might open up some perspective to individuals. And so I felt like not only did I gain some experiences that could help me along the way to maybe provide a solution to people that were going through something that I had been going through, but I also felt a stewardship to use something with those experiences. It wasn't just like, okay, I'm going to use this to my advantage. No, we're given these perspective moments in life for a reason, and definitely to bless our own lives, but more so to lift others in need, and so if we choose to have that perspective, the eyes to see and the heart to feel, there's so much that we can do. And maybe that correlates to increased revenue in a business, but more so than anything, it might just inspire some hope and confidence in individuals that are struggling to find it in themselves at the time. And that ultimately lends to, progress in multiple different realms in life. But when you can really look at the situations we're in on a human level, look at individuals as humans and what they might be going through, kind of forget about the numbers and KPIs and the strategy behind the business, and just see life as life. That's what we've tried to do even at Mountain Ops, where people are information rich and time poor. And so if we're just hitting them with the business side of us all the time, then where are we really going to go? It's connecting with individuals like I felt like I did with Steve this morning. It was like, let's just open up and share. On LinkedIn, I see all these people always posting like, hey, we can do this for you. We can do this for you. And a lot of times it's just business related. And then when I see somebody say, here's what I learned as I took my kid to school this morning, and I talked to him about, how he can confront the challenges he's going to face that day. And all of a sudden, I heard myself speaking to him, and I'm speaking to myself in business today. I'm going to do the same thing. It's those types of messages and stories that people tell online that start to build a connection, because we're all hit up with so many things every day, so many sales tactics and such. And so if there's a connection you can make, and that's for me what storytelling is all about, it's being able to build a connection, to go a little deeper with individuals. And then you can discover if there's opportunities to further business relationships in the future. But until then, that trust isn't built, and connection is kind of the stepping stone towards that trust that is so necessary in business.
Well, I can feel your passion about it. I think everybody that's here can feel that, and the sincerity of your words, and that truly that people come first, and just recognizing that humanity and that connection that is created, particularly through our hard moments, and to be able to connect with others through that is powerful. And like you said, it builds that connection and the loyalty of others. How, in looking at these hardships and looking at the current business that you have, how has this particular story that we just witnessed, how has that provided a foundation for your culture, for your mission, and what has that done for you as an individual as well as for you as a business?
It's a really good question, and I don't know exactly where to start, because it's provided so many opportunities. But this story aligns really well with our brand. Our brand, people look at brands, it can be a logo, it can be the mark, it can be whatever it is. For us, it comes down to our mission and our core values. And when we speak to those, and not just speak to them, but when we live them, we provide a story to people. They can kind of see it in the life that we live. And it may be a small portion of what we do, but the biggest portion of who we are. And it kind of screams to people, here's what Mountain Ops is actually doing. And we provide nutritional supplements to an industry, right? A very passionate industry. Passionate individuals that go out on the mountain and they suffer on the mountain. So they're facing their own trials to provide some food for their family, right? And so it tied in really well that we were going to provide food to children in need, because our audience is out searching, hunting for food, but we're also providing nutritional supplements where, like I said in the film, there's plenty of people that can't even fathom more than one meal a day, yet we have customers that are spending a couple $100 a month to provide for supplementing their nutrition. And what that does for the customer, it's probably not the carrot that we dangle out in front that says, hey, buy from us because we do this. That's a little gimmicky in my opinion. But when they can see the story and actually see, okay, this is coming from a founder who has some perspective on this, just years ago was the 1 in 4. And now he's doing something about it. So they start to connect, and they usually connect after that first purchase, right? They like us, and so they'll listen to us. They trust us, then they'll buy from us. They learn about Conquer Hunger. They come to a Conquer Hunger event. They have an experience with us, so they never leave us. And then ultimately with our customers, our goal is to have a transformation with them. And when they have a transformation with us, they become our brand disciples. And then their story starts to intertwine with ours. And it's not just my founding story. It's all these hundreds and thousands of people that are coming together, and their story becomes one. And what are we doing? We're improving our own lives through supplementation, through the fitness programs we provide. But then a portion of each of those goes to help a child in need. And what do? Yeah, we put some food in a belly of a child, but more than anything, we provide a little card in that pack of food. So when they take it home, they read, that quote. I can't remember if it's from Winnie the Pooh or whatnot, but it's like, you were stronger than you believe, loved more than you know. I don't have it all memorized, and then at the end, you were made to conquer. And so we're putting food in the belly, but what we're doing is we're removing a distraction from that child that's keeping them maybe from, socially interacting well with their peers or with their teachers, and doing well in school and whatever it may be. And we're inspiring that hope and confidence and an awareness that people recognize that there's a need and that they are loved and they're taken care of. And that's what our goal at Mountain Ops is to improve the lives of individuals and families. And so that comes through the product that we offer, but it also comes through just the daily interactions and the opportunities we find that we come across, especially through our own experiences and stories, that we can then integrate into what we do through a business that honestly, it's not life. It's just an asset for our life to do good. It's a resource. I'm not smart enough to just be all about the business. I'm a very simple-minded, but very mission-driven, principle-based. And I found that just telling my story, telling who I am, even our core value of recognizing God, that speaks to people, but it's not like, listen to me teach about God. It's watch us interact with people, watch us see the good in people, watch us try to come to the need and the aid of those that are maybe suffering through health and wellness or through hunger or whatever it may be that we find. So for our community has grown pretty tremendously because of what we're doing outside of the walls of Mountain Ops, outside of the business. But internally, first and foremost, it's our team at Mountain Ops, and being able to provide them a hands-on experience that we come together on and we do something that's far beyond ourselves. It's been an incredible thing for the culture for us to build with one another. And again, it's not just my story, it's all of us coming together, and we're all kind of building and telling our stories. Because you watch the story that I've been through, 1 in 4, but usually when we show that, somebody comes up to me and says, that was me. I can totally relate. It's not an uncommon experience to have somebody say, that's exactly where we're at now, or I was there 5 years ago. So it's very relatable. It's not super, super unique. It's just what's unique about it is what we're doing with the perspective we've gained. And we've now taken what me and my wife say, we've taken a few loaves and fishes and we've tried to multiply them. And we didn't wait till the ship came in full of them. We said, hey, as soon as there's just a few to work with, we'll start to put them in place and we'll start to multiply. And that's what it's done. And because of that, it's created a really strong, tight-knit team at Mountain Ops, but a community that just is there for the long haul. They're receiving their transformation. They're kind of screaming it from the rooftops as well now.
I love the words are using that transformation. Brand disciple. They feel that when they're a part of what you're doing. And I just wanted to read when I pulled up your mission statement. I love how you shared it, and let's see if I can. But it talks about that you're there to enhance them, and to create that, and also to lift others as you rise. I would love for you to state your mission statement because I'm not pulling it up right here. Do you have memorized? I imagine.
Not the entire paragraph, but I mean,
just the beginning.
In everything we do, we improve the lives of individuals and families. And the quote that you're speaking of is, "They rise highest who lift as they go." And it's just so true. Anytime we can lift another, we all rise together, right? So that's what Mountain Ops is all about. And honestly, if we're trying to make a decision, direction for the business, even a product, and if it doesn't align with that, it's a no-go. It's just a hard line in the sand, which makes running a business a lot easier when you've founded it on core values and principles and a mission. It comes back to those are the decision-making factors. And if we align with that and we run with things that align with that, we enhance the brand experience and the perspective people have on us. If we do anything contrary to that, it just diminishes the effect and it diminishes the experience people have with us. So we want their experience to be exactly what we say and preach it is, So it's not just words that are written on a wall. It's at Mountain Ops, it's studied weekly by the team. There's challenges that go along with it. And it really becomes written upon the hearts of the individuals there. You can't give what you don't have. So first and foremost, we've got to live what we're trying to accomplish.
And I love that you talked about it's not just words written on the wall. And I think that's part where film comes in, right? Like it's an enhancement on the story and a way to visually capture something, but also to create an emotion. So I'd love for you to talk about, because you talked about showing the film at an event and having someone come up and share that. What is that connection and the power of storytelling specifically through film that you've found that has impacted you being able to deliver this story?
Yeah, this film has been a major blessing. I mean, Dan and I met, my brother and him went to high school. We met for the first time up in our Mountain Ops office, and I started telling him my story. He started telling me his, and there might have been some sweaty eyes, which is natural to in the Mountain Ops office to have. We're in the fitness industry, so our eyes sweat a bit at times. It wasn't two men like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm getting emotional. It was like there was a story behind the tears, and that's what made the connection for us immediately. It was storytelling. And so when we started to put this film together and we started seeing glimpses of it, and there was questions he'd ask that kind of drew things out of me in that I was like, I don't know where this is all going exactly, but I'm able to tell my story, and he is really reaching into my soul and pulling this out. It was awesome to see it come together and how it's been utilized now. Once a week up at Mountain Ops, there's either youth groups or tomorrow night it will be the Farmington High School mountain biking team will be there, 350 riders with their families that will come up, and they'll pack around 38,000 meals tomorrow night, and we'll show the film before. And so people will watch this, and then they'll understand, okay, there's a reason behind what you're doing. It's not just that you chose food. It goes back to a origin story that is very meaningful. And again, many people in that room will say, that was me. I even have had young kids come up to me and say, I'm getting those packs right now from my school every Friday. My principal puts it in my backpack. And so those are the most touching stories, or to have principals that are there that say, okay, every Friday it's your guys' packs that go in and, share their experiences and appreciation. So at all these events, this film is shown. And so people can get into the spirit of what we're doing. And it's not just like putting food into a pack and this and that. It's like we help them kind of begin with the end in mind of knowing that there's a child this coming Friday. There's 3,600 of them here in Davis County that will get these exact packs. And so that's been incredible. But as I've networked with individuals as well, or I'm getting to know even partners, we've had investors that have come in. One of the first things I do is they've got to know who I am. They've got to know what's at the heart of Mountain Ops. And again, it's not just me, but I represent Mountain Ops, right? And so I'll send them the video, and that's one of the first things, so that we can make a connection. They can know who we are, where our heart is, where our soul is, and what we're all about. And so if they want to, get involved with people like that, and they can see the passion, they feel it, then most of the time people are like, I understand this. This is meaningful to me, and I want to attach myself to this brand because you're doing much more than just selling a product. It's much more than a transaction. And so it's a tool that I have been able to use to really connect with people on a different level, and just to be vulnerable that way. You can get to the heart of things a lot quicker and decide, like, is this a person I want to do business with? Should I spend my time here? And that's what I'm looking for in individuals. I'd much rather hear about who they are, where they're from, what their family's about, what their hobbies are, And then, once I kind of can see into their heart a little bit, and we're vulnerable with each other, there might be some sweaty eyes like with Dan, then we can like put the pedal to the metal and we can do great things together. But until that barrier is broken down and there's a real connection, it's like there's plenty of superficial connections we can make out there. And if we really want to grow and we want momentum, then we get together with the people that have the like core values, similar core values, and are also on a mission themselves to do good in the world.
Oh, it's so powerful. And I can feel that I've experienced that. As we're finalizing this portion and turning it over to some Q&A here in a minute, we talked about, about when you made the film with us several years ago, we're, having 600,000 meals at that time, and now you're approaching 4 million. You're at 3.8.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to share what's next with Mountain Ops. What's coming up for you.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, we're about to hit the 4 million meal mark, and in fact, we have it planned. We just need to throw a party, and so we're planning the party around it, and you guys are all invited. It'll be up at the Mountain Ops headquarters. Everyone that comes will pack one pack, and then we'll conquer some hunger with some food ourselves. But it's a benchmark to be celebrated, right? It took us about 4 years to hit the first million mark, and then the next year we hit another million during 2020. COVID hit, and 1 month alone we donated 500,000 meals in April of 2020. We all know what was going on at that time with job loss and such, and so we didn't just give one meal. There's times where it's time to step up and to do more, and so we gave 20 meals per order during that month. And as founders, we have the opportunity, and again, I go back to stewardship, we have the responsibility to do good with the resources that are created. And so that's what we've chosen to do. I look at the economy now and what people are going through, and it's difficult. It's a difficult environment. The macro environment online has changed. And so when we actually just did a research study, very large research study, comparing us against all the other major supplement brands in the industry, and we're small. Our biggest challenge is just creating awareness. But our number one thing was we were a brand that people trust, and it's because of the stories that we're telling. And going into the recession that we are in right now, I'm so grateful we're a brand people trust instead of a brand people are trying to figure out, or do I trust them? Should I buy from them? And so if I could share anything with anyone, like create connections with people that lead to trust, and do that by being you. Tell your story, be vulnerable, break down the barriers, create the connections. We always talk about it's connect and conquer. At Mountain Ops, our whole mantra is to conquer whatever realm we're in, but it's really creating trust and those bonds that will help us through even difficult times that our country is going through right now, that this world's going through. And it's those relationships that pull us through and allow us to grow. And we've actually already got our projected timeline to hit the 5 million meals. So in Q2 of next year, just wait for another celebration. It's just accelerating. And to accelerate in times like this is difficult, but I go back to just the connection and the trust that people have with Mountain Ops, because we've been us, we've been authentic. We haven't flashed anything crazy up on the board to say, hey, buy from us, because of honestly we dive into product benefits, but it really is like, who are the people behind it? Trust that we have put the product together in a way that will benefit you. Look at all these transformation stories, and come be a part of our community, however it fits your need, and let us just hope it inspire some hope and confidence in the future that you're facing, which at times right now is a little daunting for people. And so our whole goal is to improve their lives, help them through transformation, and help individuals conquer more each day of their life.
I love that, and I love that the invitation is there.
Yeah.
So I would love to just take a few questions here from our audience for Trevor. Is there anyone that would like to ask a question? We have this man here ready and available.
Process you went through, especially where you have other founders and other key stakeholders in the business. What is your process as you get figuring out these values for the organization, and what did you go?
Yeah, that's an interesting. It goes back actually prior to Mountain Ops. I was in a business with my brothers right after I got home from a mission, and at that business we actually created those core values and beliefs. So they've been around for a period of time, and they go back prior to that. It's really principles that we were taught in our home as children, of just core values that would lead a good and healthy and beneficial life. And but they started to ring more and more true as you go through life and as you mature. I coming from business failure after business failure after business failure, I'm a man of faith, and I constantly was turning to God. What am I supposed to be learning from this? What should I do next with this? At the same time, I had business partners who I had not met yet. They were on their knees praying for something that would come into their life to help improve their business practice. And so when we came together and I said, hey, I've been kind of living off of these core values as my decision-making guardrails, and one of them is recognizing God. What do you guys think? They're like, well, we've been praying and we've been recognizing that he's an instrument we needed to lean on, to turn to. And so we feel comfortable with that. And so it's kind of a bold statement to make, and people have asked, how does that, portray in a business? And really, usually there is some prayer. Sometimes we tell a story at an event because we don't show up on Sunday. And what does that speak to your audience? You can tell a story without telling the story, and people see and feel the impact. But those core values started from young ages, and it's just like, hey, these align really well with who we are now. And maybe there's some things we're not doing really well with them, but we want to be that type. We want to create trust. We want interdependence. We're going to grow a team. So let's really focus on the team members honing in on their own positions and skills so we can trust each other in that process of building more than we could on our own. We've just been bold in sharing those because they're values that connect with people. But it started prior to, like I mentioned, and it was easy to come up with because it wasn't like these just aspirational words with like a paragraph. It was like, this is how we've been taught to live and how we're trying to live, and why not incorporate that into business? I've definitely been one to not I compartmentalize life as far as responsibilities, but I do not want to compartmentalize life as far as like I'm this way when I'm in business, and I'm this way at church, I'm this way at home, I'm this way in the community. I am who I am, and those core values kind of relate throughout the whole. I might be doing something different in this realm than I am here. My responsibilities just change, but we wanted to form core values that could resonate across all aspects of our life, that this is how we're trying to live. So the brand experience goes outside the walls, and it's just, that's Mountain Ops. That's Trevor Farnes. That's Nick Hanks, whoever it is from Mountain Ops. It's just it's relevant to who we are.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Curtis.
Going from being a 1 in 4 family to now serving 4 million meals, what was the story in between? How did you go from needing meals yourself to building a great business? And
yeah, it took a lot of years, and 2007 to 2010 were difficult for a lot of people. I purchased into a franchise, and I honestly think I tried to go too fast, too quick. I bought 7 franchises. I should have bought one and see how it went, and then go from there and duplicate the process. But I went in heavy, and there was some other issues with the franchise that caused us to shut down quickly. And then to try real estate in 2008 was not the best trying time, and to try my wings in that space. And then a few other business failures. It wasn't just those two. And, I have a wife that completely supportive, just kept telling me this was what we planned on. This was the dream. We didn't have an exact formula for what the product or the business idea was going to be. So maybe we're just learning the stepping stones that it takes to get to the right one. And then in 2010, I was discussing with a chemist a formula that I had kind of created in my head to help my father with his neuropathy. He hadn't felt his fingers and toes in 10 years. And so I discussed this with this chemist. He created a concoction for me, put my father on it, and within 3 days, the feeling started to come back. And so we knew we were onto something, thought we'd be an online sensation. We were not. It was really difficult. There's a lot of stories, false stories being told about products and claims online, and we struggled to compete with that and to get traffic. And the first purchase on my website was a chiropractor. And I called him up, and I acted like I wasn't excited. I just wanted to pick his brain on why he was buying, because he bought like 12 bottles, and I was like, this is fantastic. And he told me what he needed it for, and it was for neuropathy for his patients, just like my father. And I asked if I could send him a few extra bottles to then, if he'd be willing to share what he had bought with his friends and colleagues in the chiropractic industry. And all of a sudden he sent it out to 300 people, and they started buying products, and it just grew from there. And during that time was introduced to a food program so it kind of started even before Mountain Ops, where I could just donate $22 a month and it would feed a child for a month. And my wife and I, it was hard to even come up with that, but we had made the decision prior to all this, like this was the struggle we had. Our mind was on food most of the time. So let's, as soon as we can, and for us, it came back to a lot of faith and the stories of Jesus Christ, where he multiplied the loaves and the fishes, or he commanded them to feed the sheep. And we kind of took that literally. We're like, we're learning this right now, so we're going to put it into practice when we can. So we bought in on a meal program that was just going out and every month, and then connected with some individuals that I needed some marketing on that Phoenix nutrition business. And I connected with these two individuals that had this marketing experience in the hunting industry. And I said, was there a place for supplements in hunting? Because I've got some incredible products. I'd been going for about 4 years, really just just paying the bills, but nothing extra. And they said, yeah, there's a major opportunity. There's a big hunter athlete movement right now with brands like Under Armour and Yeti and Sitka, and we can connect ourselves to those as kind of the forerunner in this space. And so we did, and it just, like, the brand resonated really well. The product work resonated really well. And our messaging of who we were was authentic. And that industry, they wanted authenticity. They're very sensitive to sniffing out any fakes. And so we just went full bore. And about a year into that, I told my partners, I've been providing meals through this other program, but it aligns really well with my story, a little bit of your guys' story, and what we're doing for Mountain Ops as a whole with providing nutrition. So let's bring this all together. And that's kind of how it all came about. So just many stepping stones with a lot of stories, in between there that we could talk about for days. But that's kind of how it all came about. So
Thank you for that question, and thank you for that. I love kind of connecting those dots between that and now. So Trevor, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for being here with us today and really sharing the authenticity of, all these parts of you. It's you, and it shows that, as you've built your business and people, they're following that and joining with you. Come and join us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for telling my story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for our audience here. So thank you.
Thank you.